Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Red Donkey Rejections. My name is Lucas and I have Eric here as always.
Hey guys.
And today we'll be taking a look at why the Democrats look like they're in a very good position right now to retake the United States Senate. And with that being said, let's get right into it. All right, so before we start this episode, let's first say that we are still very far away from the election day, which is in November. We are still 3 months away. In the political world, this is 3 billion years. So, although the Democrats look like they are in a pretty good position right now to take back the Senate, there is really no guarantee that will hold up until November. So we have already put here all the safe seats for both the Republicans and the Democrats. We won't be discussing these. We will be discussing competitive races, though, which are, not safe.
Yeah,
or, in this case, likely as well.
They could be the tipping points in the whole Senate race overall, so they're important to cover.
Right. You know what? I'm going to actually put in all the likely states as well, because we really don't need to discuss those either. We're just going to put the pickups that are likely. Those we'll put in green for competitive. If they're not pickups, we'll put them as likely in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I got this here right now. We have the 2 pickups now in green. So essentially, it's kind of a 1-for-1 deal. That's what I like to call it. Alabama is currently held by Doug Jones, a Democrat. No shot here that he will win back the seat. Democrats can forget about it. So I'll just put this one as likely right now. Yes, they're getting a pickup here. However, Democrats will get a pickup in Colorado as well. Mm-hmm. In Colorado, they have John Hickenlooper versus
Cory Gardner.
Cory Gardner, very unpopular, versus a very popular governor. Let's actually take a look at these polls right now, because they do look to be in Hickenlooper's favor by quite a lot. 6 points, 11 points, 10 points, 17 points.
18 points.
Yeah, these are a little bit later, but this is a lot. So, this one, we are pretty safe to say this will be a pickup for the Democrats here. So, what does this mean? They're losing a seat in Alabama. That's made up for Colorado. Now, how many seats do they need? They need 3 more seats. What can they do? All of these remaining races, they're all basically competitive to an extent. Let's start with the least competitive in our opinions, Kansas. At first, we thought, Roger Marshall lost. Roger Marshall won the primary. Maybe Boyer has no shot at winning anymore. Polls have actually been showing otherwise. We saw a new poll that came out, actually, that showed Marshall up by just 2 points in A-rated pollster.
Marshall +1 in a B-rated pollster. So
yeah, we did see +10, but that is a very high undecided number. So this was very interesting to see, because we actually this is from March. So this was from March, so I don't think we can take this into consideration. But looking at the polls from August, +1, +2, that's a lot closer than we thought. We thought Marshall wins, game over for Boyer. Boyer needed Kobach to win in order to win. But that's clearly not the case right now. So we do think that Boyer is kind of a solid candidate. She is fundraising relatively well. So Boyer, we still think, does have a shot here. We are going to still put it as likely. I won't mark it here. But we do think that this is definitely one to definitely watch out for. So sure, let's say Democrats lose Kansas. I mean, it's possible, but it is kind of on the table still. What else can they do? I mean, Arizona's definitely on the table. And let's see how Mark Kelly is doing here.
He's doing very well comparing to Martha McSally. Yes, this is a C- poll rating, but look at an A- poll rating. Emerson College.
11 points up.
Yes.
Wow. BC poll, 5 points, 10 points, 18 points. Doesn't need to be said. This will probably be a
Martha McSally is very unfavorable, which is why Mark Kelly is having a cruise, a breeze in this campaign.
So let's look at this right now. 46 + 2. They're already at 48. They
All
only
needed
need
two
two
states.
more states. Of these, all of these competitive states, they need two. Let's look at Maine. Maine's
That's
polls,
probably the second most significant tipping point in the race.
5, 8, 7, 4. Of course, we don't solely rely on polls, but that's a huge factor in this. You got to look at this. Sarah Gideon is a moderate, very well experienced as Speaker of the House of Maines. So it does look like she is a lot more favorable to the most disapproved of senator in the United States.
Most
Susan
unpopular.
Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah, most unpopular. So thinking about that, I think Democrats pick this one up too. That makes it 49 to 46.
And then they need one more.
One
And
more.
I think they can take that from the state of North Carolina, which is the most significant tipping point because right now it is held by Tom Tillis, a Republican incumbent that was elected during a red wave. All polls right now, all polls show Cunningham up +3, +5, +3, +4, +16. I don't know the grade of that pollster, but Cunningham is doing very, very well in North Carolina.
Clearly. And again, as you said, Tillis is very unfavorable. Democrats can pick this one up, I think. It's going to probably narrow up by election day, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to carry this state, especially in a Joe Biden victory as well, because we are going to probably see some down ballot voters. So what are we at right now? We're at already 50. So what happens here? Let's say they can't win any more than this. Joe Biden looks very favorable right now to win the presidential election. Pretty favorable. So who breaks the tie? Joe Biden's vice president, who we now know who it is. It is Vice President Harris. So in this event, Democrats would already have the majority. But let's keep digging into this. Let's talk about other states too. What if they lose one of these states? What are they going to do? Let's go to Iowa. But in general, the pattern here is that Democrats are putting up pretty good candidates against not so great Republican candidates. And that's why we're seeing that they are doing quite well. With Iowa, I'm a little bit more skeptical about a Democratic pickup here, because Ernest is +1, +3
from
in 3 of polls from the A+ pollsters. But the recent polls did show it 2-4. So I do think that Republicans will be able to hold it at the end of the day. But it's a great backup, because if they pick this up, and let's say somehow Joe Biden loses or they lose North Carolina, they still have the Senate majority. So that's very good for them. So essentially, they have so many pathways to a Senate majority in the Senate. Yeah. You know what, Eric? How about you take a look at Montana?
Yeah. So I think Montana at the moment has shifted more towards the Republicans. Steve Daines, the Republican. Look at all these polls; they're all coming out. Emerson College puts up Daines +6. I guess those ads from Mitch McConnell, Nikki Haley, and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio are actually helping, because they really, really want Steve Daines to be elected in the state of Montana. Although his challenger, Steve Bullock, is pretty popular, former Montana governor, term limited, running for Senate. So it is going to be a pretty close race. But at the moment, I feel like the odds have shifted over to Montana. And Democrats, it would be a huge reach for them. And I don't think it's really possible at this moment.
Right. So let's take a look at this, actually. Let's say, it doesn't look likely right now that let's give both Iowa and North Carolina to the Republicans, 49. This is always a great backup plan. They can snatch Montana, and they still have a majority. So things are looking pretty good. And now finally, Georgia. Georgia's a big one, too. We actually are seeing there's 2 races in Georgia, special and Georgia regular. Ossoff is doing better than the special one. 3-3. Yeah, it is back and forth for Ossoff. 2. So this is one of the more unlikelier ones, like Montana, but it's still on the table for sure. So they carry that outright majority. They lose Montana. They have Georgia, because we do think that Arizona, Colorado, and Maine are pretty solid for Democratic pickups right now. And of course, they're losing Alabama, but they still have these 3 other states as well. And finally, let's look at Georgia special here. This one is not one that I think there's much chance, because I think that Collins will be able to win this seat. So I think Republicans will probably take this one anyway. But essentially, at the end of the day, the point is Democrats have a lot of ways to the majority, whether it's going to be from what we predict, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. They can also go 1, 2, 3, 4. Or they can snatch Iowa. There's simply many possibilities. And again, the reason for this is quite a few reasons, actually. The first reason is, Trump's approval rating is dwindling, although it has been on the rise recently, but it is pretty bad for a presidential candidate. 2, it's a presidential election year. We could see higher turnout for people voting for president, which means higher down balloting. And the third is, as I mentioned before, we're seeing Democrats putting up good candidates. Sarah Gideon, Barbara Boyer, John Hickenlooper, Steve Bullock.
Mark Kelly.
And the Republicans aren't really, putting up that great of candidates in states like, New Hampshire. So we just think that Democrats have a pretty good shot here of winning back the Senate. And of course, polls are not our only indicator, but there are other factors pointing to a Democratic majority as well.
And even if the Senate race ties, we know what happens. We already talked about it. Kamala Harris will cast her vote towards the Democrats, and they get the majority anyway.
That is correct. And with that being said, that's the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you like our content, please hit subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.